Heritage recently offered part 1 of the Gatsby collection of South African coins. One of the earliest and most contentious issues are the Griqua Town tokens of 1815. These pieces were seemingly commissioned by the London Missionary Society to be used at one of their outposts. There is, to this day, some heated debate as to whether these should be considered as coins that saw a wider use in the economy, or if they are merely tokens that saw a very limited distribution and usage. This halfpenny copper coin was graded by NGC as MS64 Red Brown and sold at auction for $8,400. One of the strangest coins in the South African catalogue is this infamous Sammy Marks Tikkie, ostensibly an 1898 3-pence coin, normally issued in silver, but was here struck in gold, and not as a pattern either, mind you, but rather done on request by influential industrialist Sammy Marks, hence the popular sobriquet. With a mintage of just 215 coins, he seemingly used them as personal gifts to his inner circle and business associates. This example is graded as MS63 and was sold at auction for $24,000. Everyone is familiar with the gold Krugerrands, the 1-ounce gold coin that became a mainstay of gold stackers and gold investment around the world. Well, this is a true silver pattern coin from the first year of issue of 1967. Graded by NGC as proof 65, it was offered at auction and sold by closing call for $31,200. One of the most legendary and instantly recognizable South African coins is the 1902 Veldpond, or field pound, or sovereign if you will, as the word pond was a derivation of the word pound, the equivalent of a gold sovereign at the time. This gold coin was actually an emergency issue struck under, well, less than ideal circumstances. Literally in the field by a mobile mint during the last days of the Anglo-Boer War, with a reported mintage of 986 coins. The current example was graded by NGC as MS65 and was sold at auction for $33,600. And astonishingly related to this as well, a number of the coins were simply never even struck up and simply entered circulation as blank planchettes. Gold is gold after all. Simply and strategically to keep them out of the hands of the steadily advancing British forces. One of these examples is now seen here, authenticated by NGC, though assigning a grade to a coin like this, well, it's troublesome, as there's literally no details. It was sold at auction for $960. Now, the next few coins are an interesting case study. Technically, they are pattern coins, but not a pattern in the sense that we might think of it. You see, these are what are sometimes referred to as salesman patterns. They were created proactively by either the German firm Otto Nolte and Company or the Ludwig Christian Lauer Company in Nuremberg, depending on which specific source you choose to adhere to. And then they were sent to the South African government for consideration, with the hope of securing a contract to either sink the dies or mint the coins outright. This crown pattern, which would have been a proposed 5 shillings, was struck in copper, graded by NGC as MS62 Brown, and was sold by auction's close for $66,000. Following that is also a pattern in a similar vein of a penny, and this one dated as 1888 and struck in aluminum. These coins were never officially adopted. However, there is some tangential evidence that suggests that the crown, at the very least, might have seen circulation to some degree. This example was authenticated and slapped by PCGS as SP65 and achieved a price of $11,400 at auction. Now, here we have an example of that same crown, but dated as 1887, that was counterstamped with an Imperial British East Africa Company stamp, and then dated 1888, indicating that the coins were likely used in circulation. This rare example, of which only a handful are known, was graded by NGC as AU55 and at auction saw a closing price of $55,200. One of the earliest examples of South African coins that can be seen as a genuine attempt to establish a national currency came about in 1874 with the so-called Burger's Pond, so named for the portrait of Thomas Burger, who was at the time the President of the Republic, that appears on the obverse of the coin. This coin is also noted as it is one of the first true South African coins minted with gold that was mined in the local goldfields. There are two main varieties known for this coin, one with a coarse beard and one, an example like this one, which has a fine beard, referring to the details of the beard. Of the two, the coarse beard is definitely the scarcer, with a recorded mintage of merely 142 coins. This example was graded by NGC as MS65, and when it passed under the auctioneer's gavel, it was sold for $72,000. The first regular issue coins would only come about, though, in 1892 with the establishment of the Pretoria Mint. However, with the haste to get at least some coins into circulation, a number of these coins were minted in Germany and then shipped over to South Africa. However, these coins had a design flaw to them. The wagon on the coat of arms was a traditional European design with a double shaft in front and two wheels of the same size. But the wagons used in Africa had a single shaft and a rear wheel which was larger than the front. This is a rare proof of record example of the double shaft design, with an estimated mintage of merely around 10 coins. Graded here as proof 64 by NGC, it was sold at auction for $78,000. And while on the topic, an example of the regular issue, single shaft pont, was also on offer. Graded by NGC as MS61, this coin was sold by auction's close for $9,600. Among the many remarkable items comprising the collection, one stood out as the crown jewel, the legendary South African single 9 pont. This extraordinary coin holds a unique place in history, born directly from the turbulence of the Anglo-Boer War between the South African Boer Republic and Great Britain between 1899 and 1902. Despite its date of 1898, the single 9 pont was actually minted in 1899 under extraordinary circumstances. The government had planned to use dies dated as 1899, but these were seized by British forces early on in the conflict. As a workaround, the coins were then struck using 1898 dies, but the plan was to counterstamp it at 1899. However, the very first coin revealed a miscalculation. A large 9 punch was used to counterstamp and encroached on both the dentals on the rim and the bust of the president. Realizing the flaw, a smaller punch was then used for the remaining coins, which were then stamped 99 to reflect their true year of minting. These are then today known as the 99 or double 9 1898 coins, with a smaller 99 stamp in exiguë on the obverse. Records indicate that merely 130 of these coins, the double 9 ones were in fact created, making them not only a notable rarity but also extremely sought after by specialist collectors. This example was graded by NGC as MS65, and at auction it was sold for $108,000. But returning to the single 9 coin for now, today this historical coin is graded as MS63 proof-like by NGC, a testament to its rarity and impeccable preservation. By the close of the auction, the single 9 coin had achieved a final sale price of $2,160,000, cementing its legacy as a treasure of numismatic history. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch the full video about the New York auction right here next. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.